Ehrler with Lucky Craft, and I want to talk about pre-spawn cranking. Pre-spawn cranking to me is really only two baits. That is a 1.5 and a 1.5 DD. I will vary these baits between the silent and the DRS. Recently, I've been more into the DRS, which stands for the deep rattle sound, which has a 1 knock to it. And the 1.5 DD DRS has become a very, very effective tool in my fishing. I'm using this more and more as time goes by because it's such a fish catcher. Really, to me, pre-spawn cranking is an excellent way to cover water and find fish, and find groups of fish, and capitalize on those fish, whether it's a tournament situation or just fun fishing. You can find the areas that have big concentrations of fish. If the fish are not grouped up, these baits are ones that you can cover a ton of water and basically get around more fish and therefore catch more fish. So typically what I look for is off the main lake, meaning that I don't necessarily throw these right directly on the main lake. I throw the DD DRS on main lake points, secondary points. The 1.5 I will throw more on secondary points, rocky banks. I like rocky banks that are leading into bays, into pockets that transition into shallower water. Rock transitions are also a big deal. If you look at the shoreline, it might be gravel, it might be sand. If you have sections that turn from that sand to gravel or turn from sand to rock, those are excellent transition areas. In lakes that don't necessarily have secondary points, fish use those transitions in composition, bottom composition, as staging areas. So if you think about a fish that's swimming off the main lake, they're swimming down the bank, they will stop on targets that they like. They can actually hide, hunt, and stay there for a little bit, bulk up before they slide up and actually spawn. It could be laydowns, it could be docks. Specifically though, I like rock. I like fishing the 1.5 and the 1.5 DD around rock because the bait is better when it's deflecting off of the bottom, when it's deflecting off of the target. The reason I go with the 1.5 and the 1.5 DD is depth. 0 to 5, I throw the 1.5. And from 5 to 10, I throw the 1.5 DD. I always want that bait to be in contact with the bottom. This bait has proven over the years to be a good pre-spawn bait. Takahiro won a bass event in Alabama. He was fishing shallow water, stained water. He caught the fish on a 1.5 and a 1.5 DRS. Caught them both, and I think what he did is a really good example of the difference between the silent and the DRS. He found the fish with the silent. He went back, the water was stained. He was not catching them on the silent, so he switched up to the DRS. And it was enough to change those fish to get them to bite and started catching them very often, caught a lot of fish pretty fast. So having those two baits, having the silent versus the DRS, it's a very good way to play into the conditions. Calm, clear water, I'm gonna use the silent. Stained water or adverse conditions, wind, rain, overcast, I'm going to use the DRS, and those fish like to have that sound. It aggravates them more, get more strikes. So using those two baits, those two rattle styles help you catch more fish. Now color wise, in the spring I really like craw colors. Pre-spawn, the reds, the greens, anything that's crawdad color. If it's really stained, a good shad color is a black back with a chartreuse. My favorite shad color is the pearl threadfin shad. I'm gonna throw either a red or the pearl threadfin in a pre-spawn situation because they're either gonna feed on crawdads or shad. So springtime, bluegill are a bass's arch enemy. One thing that I like to do is find baits that mimic bluegills. One is the 1.5 BE gill. This is a bait that I actually helped design, that color, BE gill. I ended up catching a 613 this week on this bait, cranking kind of staging stuff. Those fish that are pulling in, they're not quite spawning yet, but they're trying to. When a bluegill goes swimming by, they can't resist it. So cover water with anything bluegill related. For me, it's that 1.5 bluegill colors. Anytime you're around the spawn, whether it's pre-spawn or post-spawn, you always want to have a bluegill color bait tied on. Really try and keep it simple and go out there, cover water, find where those fish are at, and try the two different baits, the two different depth running baits, as well as the silent versus the DRS in the pre-spawn cranky situations, and you'll be more effective on the water.